want to explore the question from earlier, Christy, about raising kids with a line 5 in their profile. What can you share that would be advice for parents who have children with line 5 in their profile?
Oh, learn the kids' strategy and authority and allow them and ask them questions to help them come back to that, to be really connected. I have a generator who is 14. He's emotionally defined. And a lot of the times it's, is this yours? Is this somebody else's? Do you feel like this is really you? Is this something you really want to do? Does it feel right for you? Do you feel like doing this? And that way it brings him back to connecting with that authority, right? Of, is this, are you doing this in response? Did someone ask you to do this? That kind of thing. And then like dealing with, he had one issue or incident in during COVID. We're doing, all the school from home, right? And he's in a chat room, or he was going from his classroom to a chat room. So you have to go out one, session to another session. And someone had written something horrible in chat and signed his name to it. They said, well, they signed the name wrong. So the last name wrong. They spelled the last name wrong. So we knew it wasn't him who did it. But I mean, he was totally taken back by it. He was like, oh my gosh, I didn't do that. And the teacher, fortunately was very open to figuring out what happened and knew he hadn't done it. But again, he had a classmate step up for him and say, hey, I know Carter, he wouldn't have done this. So luckily there were people who had seen him and have seen him, and knew him enough to say and stand up for him and say, hey, don't accuse him of this, he didn't do it. And counseling him on that was, how did this feel for you? How did you respond? What did you want to say? That kind of thing. And really getting them back to that strategy and authority is huge. And letting them just do them, knowing that they're going to process things a little differently. Their perspectives are going to be different. And that's one reason why I like hearing Sammy's perspective on having expectations for yourself, having expectations, going in without any expectations, and being connected in that way so that we're setting them up to be successful instead of shutting down and not exploring what it is that got us in this pickle to begin with. I want them to learn these lessons, right? And then I have an 11-year-old projector who is splenic authority. And so she moves at her own pace. God love her. She's a plod right along, It's like the woman could not hurry if there was fire in the house. It just wouldn't happen. And being a 5-1, she loves to organize. She loves to structure things. And that's a 5 tendency, to want everything done, and structured. And she's really good at it. And I've encouraged that. I'm like, hey, you want to reorganize the pantry? Go right ahead. And allowing her to go down the rabbit holes of figuring things out, because with that one profile, she needs to know that this is how we work. That it's okay to get all lost in this, but then you need to come out and kind of put it out into the world and tell me what's going on. Projector needs to talk, right? So she comes and she talks it out. And sometimes she just sits in my office. She has her own chair and she just comes and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you need to tell me when you need a response. She's like, okay. And so she now knows that she really worked best one-on-one, and that when she gets in a group of 3 or more people, she really has to pay attention to what's being expected of her, how is she connecting with people, and that kind of thing. So it's raising those children to be very consciously aware of and knowing how to, because we're raising adults, right? We're raising independent adults who are not codependent on you and what you give them. So my husband and I talked early on, like, we want our children to be able to live without us if they had to. So it's been an interesting conversation, though, to see such differences, but then similarities in how they function, both having the 5-1 profile.
Okay, so both of your children are 5-1s?
Yep.
Okay. And one is a generator. Generator or man gen?
No, generator.
Generator. Okay. And the other one a projector.
Yep. Yeah.
I just
That's
want
a
to, oh, sorry.
that's a wonderful illustration of why we have human design. Because it's for the children. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, when I read that at first, I was like, "What? We're doomed? What?" No, but the truth is, no. We have to spend practically like a lifetime of deprogramming ourselves from all the junk we were fed in the first place. And that's why human design is beautiful for the children, because they have less, there's less deprogramming going on, and if they have this, from the beginning, it really sets them up for, I think, a much, much healthier life. So yeah, Sammy.
I was just gonna say, it's funny, but I mean, everything you said about how your daughter, who she just needs to, like, it's like she almost downloads too much information. I always say that rabbit holes are for rabbits, not for humans, like, because I go down so many of them all the time. And I just I will still call my mom and be like, all right, I just need to let this out because I don't even know, like what's happening, and I'll either form an idea later on about that, or I'll just let it go and meditate it out. I think like meditation for a 5-1, or if you're a 5-1 and a projector, is like very essential, just because you do really want to learn everything, and so then sometimes it can be like you have too much information, and if you don't talk it out to someone that you trust, or like a parent figure, it's like, I'm so grateful I have my mom for that, and she's so receptive to that kind of stuff. And so I just thought that was I just wanted to like commend you. I just thought it was really beautiful the way that you described how you do that, because I think that that's exactly like what someone like her would need.
Yeah, definitely. I know there's a lot of beauty and richness as being a parent who understands human design and being able to teach that to the kids too. And just a quick note, Sammy, just to add, I understand as a conscious line one, the rabbit holes and how much fun it can be to research, but then getting to a point where you're just, saturated, like to the point of, on the one hand, you want to learn more, but on the other hand, you're just overloaded and can't already manage all the information you've already taken in. And then it just becomes stalling, right? If you just go, I'm just going to keep researching now. You're like, no, I have to go out of the house and have a life.
That's when I go out in nature. That's why I'm like, I go and like hug a tree, like legitimately. I'll be like, all right, like I need to ground, because otherwise, like I'll be like, I notice this if I'm trying to make a YouTube video or whatever, I'll go too in depth, and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to start this one. I'm like, nope, you have too much in your brain, Sammy, go take a walk. And so that's why having a dog is helpful.
Yes, for those watching, we have a calibrator dog that's been popping in and out of Sammy's view. We're going to be wrapping up soon. The one thing I would still like to have your thoughts on is, and it has been alluded to throughout this whole panel interview, so thank you. But if you have any particular comments with regards to your line 5 and your type, your energy type, so projector, manifesting generator, manifester. Sammy, I'll start with you. Were there any particular comments you wanted to add with regards to being a line 5 and a projector?
Yeah, I'll be brief about it. Really, from my takeaway would just be to just give yourself time, take care of yourself, because you have to take care. It's essential for you to take care of yourself, for you to not fall in that kind of like sadness that I do know is a tendency there. And to make sure that, the way you described, how you raise your projector daughter, I loved, because I think she's going to have a sense of self that I don't feel like I knew how to have as a kid. And so I got very lost. And so just trust in who you are and trust in your gut. If you're a 5-1 projector, no matter what anybody says to you, no matter what anyone projects on you, you have to be able to come home every night and know who you are. And when you feel like you can do that and stay grounded in that, it's amazing, like what beautiful things life can give you, and the freedom you feel of just like doing what you love and just being who you are. And I think that's kind of the whole point of life, is just for us to enjoy being around other people for who they are. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Christy?
Sorry, I'm going to get this mute thing down. I just forget. Yeah, so that was well put, Sammy. I love that. And that's my goal with my children, is to have them feeling very grounded in self, to where they know who they are. My projector takes notes. She comes in and asks, and she's got the gate 18 of correction defined, spleen. So it's hilarious how she's like, so why did daddy do that? What gate was that? It's hilarious. So she just cracks me up. It's funny as hell. My husband finds it annoying. He's a generator, 4-6 profile. And he's like, yeah, I don't care. And so for me, being a 3-5 and then a manifesting generator, I've had so many life lessons, like 3 broken bones in the last year and a half. Basically, slow the hell down. And so working in bursts has really allowed me to work and download and put a bunch of content out or videos or whatever, and then be like, oh, next project. And so it allows me to shift gears and use my energy in multiple ways at one time. I always have multiple projects going on, which, in this house is probably a mess all the time. I'm not tied to it. And then I just make the children pick everything up. So it's interesting, though, to have those two, the counterbalances, though, to experiment and try things. And now let's put that energy out there, that initiator energy, right, of my MG, and the need for peace. Didn't realize that was such a big deal for me. I know it's a manifestor tendency, but it's seriously like, I need that peaceful. I have 2 alone gates, and it's like, I need to be by myself in my cave, nobody comes in. And especially when I feel like I'm not being myself, I feel like I definitely need to go and have me time. And having to explain that to the children and everyone and saying, it's not that I don't love you. I just don't want to see you for the next 12 hours. But, but it's been interesting. I'm like, I just need to go out. You guys can do whatever you want. I usually take my projector with me. Carter's emotionally defined, so I'm helping him usually navigate all the deep emotions, and they're deep, well deep. And he's a teenager half the time. He's not in the mood to do anything. So I have my projector with me, and it's interesting, her energy and mine and our compatibilities, to see how we can adjust. But as a manifesting generator, slow down. It's okay. The world won't end. You will get everything done. Promise. And using that energy in bursts and allowing yourself the time for rest, having multiple projects going on, multiple income streams going on, so you don't lose that, attention span of, oh yeah, so now I need something new. That's one thing about a 3, right? We like variety. And so it helps to have multiple things going on. It really has worked out. Yeah, it's been interesting, the 3-5 energy as an MG. So
yeah, definitely. Thanks. I recognize a lot in what you were saying there as another MG. And with the line 3 in my profile, I'm starting to embrace the art of delegation. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm not going to be doing it all myself, right? But finally, it's just realizing, for all the MG-ness of doing things, there's only so much bandwidth, right? There's only so much time. So it's like, wow, I can get stuff done by giving it to other people. What a concept, right? Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And also being the emotional authority, I find that, I can, if something pops up and it sounds really great, and I check in emotionally, and my emotional authority is like, meh, like, I don't care. I'm like, cool, I go do it. Because it sounds good, it sounds fun, and it usually ends up, I find that, I think that's the individual energy of my authority, is that you can be spontaneous, because your emotional authority doesn't care about everything. There's some things that just aren't on the radar, right? And being an MG, things come to us fast, and and that manifestor energy, we just kind of, And so moving at lightning speed. And, you know, being an emotional authority doesn't mean you have to sit and wait on everything. Not everything is life changing. I mean, if it's time to go to the store, it's time to go to the store.
Yeah.
You do not need to wait for a sign for that.
Yeah. And,
Just-
and for sure. Yeah. Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have anything else? Okay. I just wanted to mention for authority, this is kind of one of my general rules I like to share with people learning about human design and clients and such as I really consider your authority to be your go-to for the big five. Something that involves your time, your energy, your money, a location decision, a relationship decision. A relationship could be, you know, personal, friends, spouse, work, right? Colleagues, business, joint venture partners, any of that.
Could you say that one more time? I want to write that down, actually.
Yeah, sure. No problem. Time. So a decision that involves, requires your time in terms of completing whatever that decision leads to. It's a decision that involves your time, your energy, your money, a location decision, a relationship decision. And sometimes they could be combined, right? So I'm just going to say, you know, very quickly, hypothetically, you're considering some course, some certification, some program, right? It's probably going to involve your time. It's going to involve your energy, and it's probably going to cost you money, right? So you've got like the three of them on the list there. But if it involves at least one of them, right? Or like Christy, like you're talking about a commitment for Girl Scouts, right? Leading this group or that troop or whatever it is. That's definitely going to be a huge investment of your time and your energy, right? So those are the kinds of things that you want to really run through authority. And I can see we have three emotional people on this panel. I know not the subject of this line 5, but for those who are watching who are emotional, just know that rushing the decision, whether you feel you're taking too long to get clarity or you're getting outside pressure, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, because saying yes to something you should have said no to, boy, that's going to be kicking you in the butt for a while later.
Yeah, and honestly, what I've noticed is that if people don't let you have the time to think about it, then it's probably, it wasn't right for you anyways. So literally just keep that in your mind. That's why I loved the 5 things, because I'm like, that's a great way to put all that into that authority. Because if people rush on a decision, I'm like, this isn't the right decision for me. Like I shouldn't be doing it. And it's like immediate clarity. So
yeah. And like Christy said, I mean, you know, it's like a decision to like lunch, like whatever, lunch, right? So yeah, exactly. There's definitely a scale. So
I look at authority from the perspective of, you know, how big is the impact? Is it going to have a short-term impact or a long-term impact on those 5 things? But certainly. So it's like the little decisions that Christy's talking about. And it's like, you know what? It's not going to matter that much. But anything that's going to have an impact over time, that's what you need to pay attention to with authority.
Yeah, I'm writing down what this manifestor just said. Okay, impact.
Yeah.
Short
And then
term.
I'm going to answer your question about being a manifestor.
Mhm.
So my big aha several years ago about being a manifestor was around initiating. I didn't understand what initiating was. And this is this thing that's supposed to be so wonderful about being a manifestor. And like, I don't have a clue on what initiating is. And when I realized that I initiate through conversation, I say things, and it's like, whew, things change. And that changed everything. And it brings in the understanding of the line 5. Because when I'm saying something, I am projecting. And that's where all the transformation occurs. But the day that I understood, it's like, oh, I said something and all this stuff happened. It wouldn't have otherwise. I did that. And ever since, now I'm just like really conscious when I'm having a conversation. It's like, oh, I'm going to initiate something here. And it's just become part of my normal now, being aware of it.
Yeah. Do you actually hold yourself back from saying things though? If you feel, I'm just curious, like how you.
That's really more from the taking things personally, being afraid of making a mistake piece. I'm just, conscious pretty much anytime I say something to somebody, oh, there could be some initiating happening here, if it's a significant conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had that experience talking to a manifester. It's a fun party trick, right? When you have your phone and you have a little app and you show people their design and you tell them 5 things about them super quick, and they're like, "How do you know that?" And one woman I met was a manifester, and I explained the initiating, and she said, "Oh my gosh, yes, that's happened. I was interested in being a police officer once, and I did some research. I think she was a 5-1 as well. And so, I was talking with a whole group of girlfriends. This was a bunch of years ago, and I talked to them about, my interest in becoming a police officer and the training, and shared her information resource. She said 3 of her friends went and ended up actually becoming police officers. In the meantime, she had sort of the love affair had kind of ended with the idea, and she'd moved on to something else." And ta-da, right?
Transpersonal karma.
Yes, yes. Phenomenal and mind-blowing, but it is incredibly powerful. So, and as well, like thank you very much for sharing. Like, a manifester with a 3-5 to me is like such a really rich and unique combination. However, it's a journey to, to have discovered your design, to actually have gotten to a point like of appreciating that, right? Because unfortunately with, with the upbringing of just being made very wrong about it, which is, too bad, right? But my goal as well is you sharing your experiences and your learnings, and the beauty of your profile is that people can take that away and really embrace that for themselves.